TYPROS was kind of the catalyst for the Tulsa we see now, right? We're in this incredible brewery in a district that was desolate, that housed TYPROS' first street cred event.
One of the things that's probably the most important is to talk about the state that Tulsa was in before TYPROS was actually in existence. And that is, I remember there was these several episodes of Friends where the theme was making fun of one of the characters in Friends because he had to spend time in Tulsa, Oklahoma.
You know how people say that Tulsa is the Paris of Oklahoma?
What? Who says that?
People who've never been to Paris?
You know, we've got this great oil and gas history, but what's this new kind of energy and what can we be in the future of our city? And so at the birth of the organization, you could see some of these divisions starting to happen and some of these inherent interests aligning.
The creativity of what's happening and some of the new things that Tulsa is getting on the map for nationally, a lot of those started with ideas that came out of these young creatives that were able to be heard.
The chamber was really helpful in giving us resources. So we went to Milwaukee, we saw their young professional group, which was really successful. So we had some examples of what others were doing.
We went from this kind of dormant state and we needed something that pushed the community forward. And those first 10 years of TYPROS, I think, were the catalyst that led to so many incredible initiatives.
I always say that my experience with TYPROS has been really transformative, not just for how I show up in community and really nurture my network, but really thinking about how community can play such an important role in the decisions that are made every day.
Just the connections and the openness everybody had. If you wanted to make a difference, you kind of learned how to do that from the ground level up. So as we got older, we were like, okay, you want to see this change, you kind of knew the avenues to do it, you knew the people to talk to. And it's really cool to see how it's progressed over the years, and it's definitely not the same TYPROS, nor would we want it to be.
I feel TYPROS has enabled me to build lasting connections, even friendships, but definitely professional connections with other folks. As we grow and mature, those connections stay with us throughout the years.
TYPROS has been wonderful at community building, and I don't know that that's explicitly been part of our mission, but I've been to the weddings of people I met through TYPROS. I still go get drinks or see people. I have clients that came through TYPROS. I use people for professional services.
I'm really grateful that TYPROS pushed for our member representation at these inner city visits, at these trips to Washington, D.C. Those connections are invaluable.
The relationships that I was able to establish, spending time with people on those trips, the access that I had to individuals that I wouldn't have ever been in the same room with have really been transformational for my career.
The fact that people get to grow their leadership skills, expand their networks, grow a business, find their passion in the community, being a part of creating something that has allowed for that for other people is the most meaningful part of my involvement, and it makes me super proud.
To see that after years of perseverance, granted I was, well past TYPROS by the time it all came to fruition, but to see that you kind of helped start that, and to see that now my kids are able to enjoy all the cool stuff that's happening with the Gathering Place and all the river development, and that's so exciting to me, and it makes me feel like what I did was worth it, and it's not just impacting our generation, but generations to come.
We had a couple of different ideas that were a little out of the box. One was, how do we get Trader Joe's to come to Tulsa?
As staff, we said, well, why don't we try to think of a creative way to get their attention in terms of distribution? And then the government relations crew, we said, how about you go look at legislation and see how we can get liquor law reform done to allow liquor in grocery stores. And then at the same time, we led probably one of the most ambitious endeavors, which was to take a U-Haul to Kansas City's Trader Joe's, fill it with about $5,000 worth of Trader Joe's merchandise, and do a pop-up shop.
And it was highly successful, but so successful that it got their attention in maybe not the greatest way, and they sent us a cease and desist, and please don't do that anymore. We love it. We're so excited that you're excited, but you transporting our products and then distributing them maybe isn't within our supply chain and how we would want our products to be.
Fast forward 3 years later, they did a private opening with TYPROS whenever they opened the first location in Oklahoma on Brookside. And they called us and said, we're here because of you, and we want you to be the first to see the store.
And I think that story is just emblematic of, yes, it's fun to create, a pop-up grocery store for a weekend, and that's what gets attention from the news. But there was a ton of work behind the scenes about okay, how are we then going to use this experience to either encourage development that we want to happen in parts of the city that it's not happening, or how do we help influence legislation that is business friendly that can move the community forward.
Almost all of my involvement has been with the business development crew. It was an opportunity to network and make connections. We helped put on several initiatives that helped connect members with small businesses.
In 2022, we convened a panel of professionals in mental health to discuss mental health and mental health research among minorities.
During my year in particular, in 2011, that was the year where we really decided to expand our community impact, and we developed that community partnership so we could strategically impact a nonprofit that really already had significant buy-in from our community. And we did that in the first year with the Food Bank of Eastern Oklahoma.
It is all about the individual volunteers, and I honestly thought they were kind of crazy. And it's just hard to believe how many people put in that much time to make Tulsa stronger.
From the beginning, we wanted to create an organization that was very diverse. We had a very broad definition of, who was allowed in, we'll take anybody. We really wanted it to be a place where anyone who wanted to get involved could find a place for them.
Building that community has been, I think, one of the best things that TYPROS has given to the city, and I do think that helps grow the roots that keep people here so that we keep the talent that we need to be an excellent city.
I think TYPROS' strength has been and will always be developing leaders. We really do plant seeds across the community and really foster a sense of belonging and purpose with our members. And so I see a lot of our members continuing to show up as CEOs and nonprofit executives and running for office and leading community initiatives. And so I just see our TYPROS community continuing to plant seeds and be critical members of this community.
I think that's some of the coolest things is the reputation that TYPROS has built, and watching the light in people's eyes just flicker when I bring it up and they get to share the awesome experiences that they had with the organization.
The power of TYPROS, when I was there, and I believe it to still be true, is just bringing together people, letting them have ideas, and then finding a way to support those ideas. That, I think, is going to continue forever.
I think TYPROS is so important in that evolution of the city, and I think our city is better because of the work that TYPROS has done.
People ask me all the time, how do I get a TYPROS in my community? And I'm like, well, it's kind of just this magical sprinkling of a little bit of this and a little bit of that and the right time. And I mean, you can try to replicate those things, but it doesn't mean that you're actually going to get it.
Support the organization, because I guarantee you that what they have to say, what they think the future of the community should be, is more important than what we, the ones that started that organization, think. So listen to your young professionals. And I can't wait to see what TYPROS does for Tulsa in the next 20 years.
I don't know that I saw that 20 years down the road I'd be sitting here today, but I do think we built it to be this. We built it to last.
So I think TYPROS' success over the last 20 years has been built on this idea that young people with these crazy, big, bold ideas come to us, and we give them the resources, support, connections to make those dreams a reality. And as long as we carry on that legacy, as long as we capitalize and double down on that, then I think TYPROS will continue to leave a mark for years to come.